Joining me now for more is Naureen Shah. She's the Director for Policy and Government Affairs for the ACLU's Equality Division. Naureen, the ACLU of Minnesota filed an emergency motion last night in response to this latest fatal shooting. What is the ACLU now asking from a judge?
We're asking a judge to intervene, frankly, to save lives and prevent more people from being endangered in Minneapolis. Specifically, we need federal agents to stand down in their attack on people who are peacefully protesting and observing their behavior. It's important to keep in mind this terrible shooting of Alex Pretti is the third shooting from federal agents we've seen in the last 3 weeks, and things are getting too dangerous to continue this way.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz promised yesterday that the justice system of Minnesota will have the last word here. And a Republican senator is now calling for a joint federal and state investigation into this latest fatal shooting. How is the ACLU prepared to help state officials access materials they may need for their own investigation?
You know, what's remarkable is that this administration has responded to another tragic shooting of a young man who was an ICU nurse caring for veterans by vilifying him instead of doing what we would assume any presidential administration would do, which is say, we're going to review what happened. We're going to commit to an independent investigation of the facts, and we will make sure this does not happen again. We would be expecting them to draw down, to bring the rhetoric and the temperature down. And instead, just as we did after the shooting and killing of Renee Good, we see this administration doubling down on its violent rhetoric and its vilification of victims.
And it's hard not to talk about the politics surrounding this all this week. The Senate is debating 6 government funding bills, including funding the Department of Homeland Security. So what is the ACLU asking of lawmakers when it comes to funding DHS and ICE?
We're asking Congress to rein in ICE and Border Patrol and help prevent another tragic shooting, another death. We also saw just a few days ago a 5-year-old boy arrested with his father in Minneapolis. A haunting image of that boy. I think it haunts a lot of people here in Washington, D.C., and we're asking members of Congress to act on that. There is a moral imperative to slow all of this down, to force a reckoning within DHS. So we want them to put some guardrails before they vote to fund this agency to commit more abuse.
So on that point, a lapse in DHS funding would impact agencies beyond ICE. For example, TSA agents would also have to work without pay if that bill isn't passed. So what's your response to that?
Senators can negotiate going forward what exactly happens next. What we want them to do is demand that there are guardrails in place to stop the abuses. Look, I've talked to our staff on the ground in Minneapolis. It is horrifying. The images are unreal. People are afraid to leave their homes to get groceries for days at a time. We also see many Minnesotans coming out in support of each other, compassion, and just dedication and bravery. And we want to see that same kind of bravery from our elected officials here in Washington.
Naureen Shah, thank you.